Topher, I was actually very scared about inviting Topher to speak. It was quite entertaining, actually. Rukshan, some of the other events he cried, so I feel like he's hardened up lately. I'm not going to talk for very long because I'm sure many of you have watched too much of me. And I'm actually slightly tired from the last few weeks, it's funny that Rukshan says it. I feel like I need to add another chapter to the book, Ezra, pretty soon, because the last 3 weeks has probably matched up with some of the hardest times in my life. And I'm like, I've been saying just tonight, all I'm waiting for is to get on the plane, go home, hug my wife and kids, because it's been intense since October 7. The attacks in Israel, and at first I didn't sleep for about 3 nights until when Ezra and I were talking, I think it was probably the day after, and then the decision for me to go, which was a hard decision personally just because the timing, I know what it sounds like. It's not a good time for 1,400 people to be slaughtered. It wasn't it didn't suit my schedule, the attacks in Israel, and we were moving house right in the last 3 weeks, and I said to my wife, but I feel like I have to do this because I knew on October 8, the world stood with Israel and the world was saying how horrific that attack looked. We all saw the footage. But I knew, and I was talking to Ezra, I know that that's going to last about 48 hours. And then the world is going to go back to what they do. And the mainstream media is going to go back to their narrative. And the narrative is big, evil Israel that's oppressing the poor Palestinians, even though there's, 240 at least prisoners still there. And I could see the writing on the wall, and Ezra said, don't do anything. I think I was texting you back and forth, and I go, my wife, and you go, do only what your wife says.
I don't follow that advice myself.
But my wife understood that I feel like this was like one of the most important moments probably in my life, and this is a historic time. So I went, and for the last 3 weeks, and Benji, where's Benji? Benji, everyone give Benji a round. Benji's the one that's behind the camera, whether it's in Australia while the Victoria Police are shooting rubber bullets. It got easier as time progressed because police became more scared of me than we did of them. Yeah. But in the beginning, he was there when they would charge at me, and at one point I had to tell Benji to calm down because I felt like he was going to fight back, and I was like, no, our fight is with the camera and with the microphone. But then also he'll come to Israel without asking a question, come to the front line, they're firing mortars at us, and Benji's like, which way should I face the camera? But I knew that was an important moment, and sometimes it just doesn't suit the schedule, but it has been tough, and it's been heartbreaking for so many reasons. Obviously, the attacks were heartbreaking, but also watching that my prediction was right in the world's reaction to the attacks, and then obviously Israel's right to self-defense. Their next. And we've come to London, and this is one of the things that I've realised is. And again, I feel like I could just put our whole conversation on there as I speak, is that I realised, and I spoke to a rabbi yesterday at the Ark that I interviewed, and he was basically saying to me, him and his family are actually considering moving out of London because London's become a place that's not safe for Jews. You can't even do a book launch in London now without, anti-fascists and Hamas supporters. I think both groups were Hamas, or Islamists and so-called anti-fascists, without them threatening the venue and the people coming there. So they're thinking of relocating to a war zone, to Israel, because that's the safer option. And I actually understood what he was saying, because I feel, as a Jew, as somebody that has a Star of David on my arm, I feel like walking down these streets here, I feel like it's more dangerous to walk these streets than it was walking in Sterot, only 600 meters from the Gaza border. And that's only because here I feel, at least there, October 7th, they certainly dropped the ball and there's a lot to be answered for there. But right now, at least the Jews have an army. The Jews have, the Iron Dome and the bomb shelters that they built to protect themselves. In London, what do you have? You have cops without guns or any or any backbone. They won't actually stand up to defend. And they'll, instead of targeting the Islamists that are threatening the annihilation of my people, they'll go and arrest the guy that ends up taking down a Palestinian flag.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I want to thank you all for coming. I know that we did literally it was about 2 minutes out from cancelling the event because we got cancelled from the first venue, and then the second venue also basically they cancelled on us when they agreed to take us in, and then this was literally in the last minute. And I don't know if everyone got the message, but I appreciate that you all came, and I'm sure that in the back of your minds, or maybe it wasn't, but in the back of your minds it might have been, is this the safest place to be in London? Because it probably isn't, but I really appreciate it. And the other thing I could tell is many of you haven't read the book, so you obviously haven't bought it. There's one there. This is about the book, and I do feel like there's another chapter over the last 3 weeks, which I will add in time. But the reason why this book was important for me to write is for many years, a lot of people have written and spoke about me, often about things that I legally couldn't talk about, and they knew it because they were there in court at the time. And I just had to learn something that I had never learned in my life before, which is patience. It was the hardest lesson in my life, having to stay silent for about, I think it was 2008, so about 3.5 years to stay silent when people called me all sorts of, I've been called all sorts of nasty names, but there was one specific nasty name that really cut deep because it was so, firstly, untrue and everything I stand against. And I was not allowed to defend myself in the public arena. And, the thing that I learned from writing the book is, firstly, my grade 6 English teacher was 100% wrong. I can write. I didn't say I wrote well. I just can write. But that time where I had to be patient with my response, and I didn't do it out of anger. Instead, I did it out of finally being able to speak. And what do they call that? The lefties like to say, I got my agency back, and I was able to really answer everything everyone's ever said about me in a way that was calm and level-headed, something that I don't often get to do because I usually do answer in the spur of the moment. And I'm really happy after the end product. I hated writing it, not because it's hard to tell my story, rather I hate writing. I like being in front of a camera. That was a year of... See, when I do my videos, I get to go out on the street, I film it, and latest the next day, the video's out there and I get all the attention that that I yearn for within 24 hours. I had to write for a year and get nothing in response for at least a year, but I'm really happy with the end product just because I feel like it's really me and it's really my story. And in fact, in the last, when was it? 6 months now? 4 months we released it? 4 months, I think it was. 4 months ago, the narrative completely changed, and all those slurs that people, especially the detractors, loved to use and had all that fire in it, no longer holds the power because too many people have read at least my version of the story, one that you can't really argue with. So thank you so much for coming, and I hope you actually read the book. Thanks, Ezra. I want to thank Ezra personally for believing in me from September. Well, we did a couple of gigs earlier on before that, but from September this is the only date I know. I have to tattoo my kids' birthdays in because I don't remember those. But September 3, 2020, I remember because 2 days later I got arrested. That was when Ezra took me on officially at Rebel, and he's believed in me since then 100%. In fact, I have complete editorial control. Whoa. I don't know how you take those risks, Ezra. And Rukshan, he's become a good mate. It's great that now he's copying all the same slurs. Sinus, chill. But no, Rukshan's been like the most loyal friend, and the thing that I've appreciated in Rukshan the most over the years that I got to know him is the fact that no matter what, no matter who says what to him, Rukshan actually stands behind his convictions. And lately I've seen so many people that I used to respect actually just fall to their audience, because I know they don't even believe the shit they're saying, and they'll say it just to make their followers happy and ensure that they don't lose the thousands of followers for still being friends with Avi Yemini. But Rukshan's just been that guy that he actually stands by his real beliefs, and Topher was there as a protester, but he's been somebody that even before me, I wasn't political. If you read my book, you'll see in the beginning, I was not political until probably, I think it was maybe 8 years ago, I started being political. I was quite apathetic. It was ironically the Israel-Gaza conflict that got me into it, because that was the first time I realised what the fake news was about, because that's where I was deployed, and it was something I knew about by sitting in front of ABC News Australia. I sat down one night and watched the news, and I'm like, holy crap, I can see how they're twisting the narrative here. I've served there. I've seen it firsthand and what they're doing. I can see how they're manipulating the story, and that's what got me into it. You can read the rest of it in the book. But yeah, so people like Topher who've actually been in the fight for so many years, and again, somebody that stands by his convictions, even though I know so much of his probably following, sometimes, especially now in this dark time, probably don't share. Yeah. The Aussie Wire followers. Well, thank you, Andy, for coming in tonight. You've been an inspiration. I don't know if you know this, to people like me. I'm talking like there's a whole bunch. To me, you've been an inspiration, because I saw what you went through in America, and I thought, people think I'm this little tough guy, and I saw him, I was like, oh crap, I'd probably crap myself with what happened to him. Yeah. And the fact that he's still out there doing it even after what went down. So you're an absolute inspiration, and Ollie as well.
Yay, Ollie.
Amazing what you do.
Thank you.
I thought you were brave, and then I realised how tall you were. No, but what you do is amazing too. And there's so many people here that do so much amazing work. So please, guys, be inspired by those around you that inspire me. And I hope you enjoy the night and have a couple of drinks, because I'm probably slurring because the wine has been filling up. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah!